Hi, welcome. I'm Reverend Dr. Marlene Morris, and you are who you are, and I'd love to get to know you. Welcome to Spirit Central. I'd like to think of this as your weekly spiritual spa, your Sunday spiritual indulgence. We're here to help you feel better if you're feeling bad, and to help you feel even better if you're already feeling fine. And if necessary, we can serve as spiritual urgent care if that happens to be what your need is at any given time. Ernest Holmes, the author of The Science of Mind and founder of religious science, used to open his television show with the words, "There is a power for good in the universe, and you can use it." So true. That's been my experience. And well, see, the greater fact is that you can't really not use it. In fact, you're using it right now. You use it all the time because it really is done unto you on a spiritual level as you believe. The important part of Dr. Holmes' admonition was to remember to use it for good in the world at large, in your dealings with other people, and mostly when you're thinking about yourself. So I'm going to ask you to go within for a moment and consider this. We are here to remember who we are. We are children of creation. We are here to remember that we are created in the image and likeness of God, creation, the almighty, the force, whatever it is you choose to call the creative, motivating energy of the universe. We are here to heal our misconceptions and to release whatever beliefs may no longer serve us. We are here to learn how to use our divine inheritance to make our lives and our world a better place. We are here to be awake, to pay attention, to inspire, to uplift, to heal, to make whole ourselves and our world. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, well, then stick around. That's why we're here. Now, I love to get you thinking right from the get-go because the very last thing I want you to do is to leave your brain at the door. So, here's today's question. What are you doing tonight? Does it involve light? And do you have any candles handy? Those questions may not make a whole lot of sense right now, but I think they will, I pray they will, by the time the talk is over. So I'm going to jump right into what I'm going to talk about today, and then let's talk. Let's chat about how what I've said might just help you answer the questions that I asked. So, my friends, here we go. I'd like to start with a little excerpt from one of my favorite stories. You've likely read it yourself. It goes like this. In the beginning, God created. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved across the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And lo and behold, there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. The light is beyond ancient. Bacon called it God's first creature. Milton wrote, "Hail, holy light, offspring of heaven's firstborn." Poets and words. Throughout history, mystics and poets and prophets and saints of every tradition have celebrated the light. And no telling of the millions of stories about the light would be complete without the ancient story that will be retold in every Jewish home tonight. Tonight, Hanukkah begins. Tonight, millions of families will commemorate a night over 2,000 years ago when the Maccabees recaptured the temple in Jerusalem from the Syrian Greeks. Overcoming impossible odds, Judah Maccabee and his brothers prevailed and reclaimed the temple, and then set to cleaning it, prepping it, and reconsecrating it. But when the time came to relight the eternal light, the light that could not be extinguished, only a tiny vial of oil could be found in the entire temple. No more oil than would keep the light burning for perhaps a night. And yet, when in faith the lamp was filled and lit, it burned not for one night, but for 8. It was written then, a great miracle happened here. Tonight, children will play with the traditional Hanukkah toy, the dreidel, upon which are inscribed those words, a great miracle happened here. The festival of Hanukkah lasts 8 days. Lights are lit on the menorah and presents are exchanged, all to commemorate the miracle of the oil, the miracle of the presence of God on earth, in that place, in that moment, the miracle of the light that would not go out. Today, the Hanukkah menorah has space for 9 candles. The first candle serves the others. It is the shamash, the minister candle. Each night of Hanukkah, it is used to ignite the previous candles and then a new candle to help everyone remember the lessons of the light and the miracles that the light brings. The first candle is for the light of God, the light that will not, cannot die, the light that shone for the Maccabees. Before anything existed, there was God, and then God's light, the light that shines through the darkness, the light which the darkness cannot extinguish. The second candle is for endurance, the endurance that sees us through the pain of being discounted, denied, ignored. The endurance that has brought us to the present moment, the moment in which the light shines through the darkness, and we see, perhaps for the first time, perhaps for all time, what it means to be seen, to be in the light. The third candle is for the sacrifice that justice and freedom require. A lesson we seem to forget all too often. Too often we expect others to do it for us. And on a personal level, it is a sacrifice of old ideas, old beliefs that no longer work. Ernest Holmes wrote in The Science of Mind that the price must be paid in mental and spiritual coin. Ultimately, it is the sacrifice of a belief in lack, limitation, a sacrifice to the greater thoughts of joy and prosperity and wholeness and wonder and love. And then the question becomes, are we willing to give up our old attachments, our old ideas, in order to be truly free? The fourth candle is for wisdom. The wisdom to know that the time of the peacemakers is at hand. To know war no more. As individuals, to know peace instead of anger and resentment, to come to know that peace is the platform for the arrival of spiritual consciousness in our lives. To know when it is time for each of us to be the presence of peace. And in doing so, to initiate a new age, an age of wisdom and peace, a dawning of contentment and truth. The fifth candle is for strength. The strength to never become our own foe. How many of us, I wonder, laugh when we say we're our very own worst enemy? It almost has a laugh built in, doesn't it? But it's not funny, my friends. And it's not a laughing matter. Who will listen to us? Who will respect us if we do not honor ourselves? How can we make a better world if we don't believe we can make a better self? We are called to believe in ourselves, in our heritage, in our divinity, in our right to be. The sixth candle is for compassion. Compassion for those suffering pain, the old pain, a new pain. This is the candle of compassion, the candle that reminds us to love those for whom extra grace may be required. To love those who have not yet learned the importance of what we believe we have learned, who do not yet know what we believe we know. It is for understanding for those who still stand in the darkness. The seventh candle is for forgiveness. Forgiveness for the greater good, for peace of heart. To not let anger tear us apart. Too often in the name of faith or religion or in the name of just being right, we forget that others may believe differently. But that in an unlimited universe, there is more than one path to paradise. It is a reminder to practice understanding. Let us not be led to anger. Whether it is at another faith or another nation or another person. Let us not let our anger tear us apart. Which leads perfectly then to the eighth candle, which is about unity. One of the oldest Christian greetings is peace be with you. Our music this time of year is full of peace on earth, goodwill toward men and women. It can be a pleasant thought, a hopeful phrase, or it can be the song in our hearts. The choice is ours. Each of the candles has a distinct and very important meaning. God, the eternal, the divine, the presence. Endurance, to keep the faith in the face of challenges and appearances, to keep on keeping on. Sacrifice, letting go of what no longer fits, that which no longer is appropriate in the lives of the peacemakers. Wisdom, the wisdom to choose peace. Above all, to be loving, to be kind, to make the higher choice. Strength, the strength to remain faithful to what we believe, no matter what. Compassion, compassion for those who are suffering, no matter their distress or their dis-ease. Forgiveness, to establish and to keep peace in our hearts. And unity, unification, to work on closing the divides between us, and to find peace in our hearts, with others, with ourselves, with our God. These lights, these words, are the prayers and the calling of those who believe. These are the light of spirit, of life within us. If we have been sitting in the darkness, let us use what we know to rise up and to move into the light. It is a conscious choice. It is a conscious step. There comes a time in each one of our lives when we allow ourselves to be the light that is within us. When our lives speak only truth, when our hearts know only love, when we live with conviction, the life we know we were intended to live. That time may be now. It could be today. But you must choose it for yourself. A spiritual light burns within you. You know that at some level. An eternal light burns within you. You know that as well. A divine light, God's light, burns within you. The light in your life, the light you throw upon the lives of others, that light is generated in your soul. Not some little spot within you, but rather the truth of who you are. It won't show up on an X-ray or an MRI because it's all of who you are. The light is simply generated in your soul, and it cannot be extinguished. We are candles. We may be torches, and we may yet be the light of the world. In the temple of your soul, over the altar of your heart, a light eternally shines. That light lives at the center of everyone and everything. It is the presence of spirit within you. The world calls to you. Spirit calls for you. Let your light shine. Where there is darkness, let your light shine. Where there is fear, let your light shine. Where there is anger or resentment, let your light shine. Where there is no light apparent, let your light shine. We must remember that light is always greater than the darkness and not allow the darkness to dissuade us or to detour us. The light is always greater, but you must let it in. Or more accurately, if you truly believe that God is within you, you must let it out. God glows. The light that we would share with others and the light that we would shine upon our own lives is that light within us. It is not something out there to be captured and then somehow stuffed within us. It is rather something within to be acknowledged and to set free. It is generated in your own soul. Tonight, in millions of homes, the menorah will be lit. The lights of the menorah represent the eyes of God. The eyes of God that see the whole world for what it is. A web of light. a web of interconnected wholeness. No borders, no boundaries, no differences on the spiritual level. Those eyes of God, see through your eyes, our eyes. We have looked for God, but not seen. We have cursed the darkness when we have been called to be the light. From the beginning, when the Spirit of God moved across the face of the waters and the Word of God said, "Let there be light." In the beginning, in the ancient darkness when pagan fires burned to ward off unseen evils, and the Spirit of God said, "Let there be light." Early on, when the fire of God blazed from within the bush that burned but was not consumed in its own flames. Later, when the tiny amount of oil in the candle of God in the temple burned for 8 nights. To an even later time, when the light of God shone like a star to guide the wise and the faithful to a place in the manger where a child was born. To anyone, in any time, who is paying attention, one thing stands out. One thing is obvious. God glows. Light and God, light and spirituality seem to be nearly synonymous. Exodus tells us that when Moses came down from the mountain, his face radiated light. Jesus was described as a burning and shining light. Thoreau writes of sitting on a hill outside Boston and seeing the city afire with the light of spirit. And there are so many, many more stories, lots and lots and lots of light. Metaphysicians are traditionally very good at talking about things. And we can indeed talk about the light. There's lots to be said. We can study the light. We can analyze the light. We can contemplate the light. But there is nothing in all of this that is greater than being the light. When we are willing to clean out the old, to rededicate, to reconsecrate ourselves to the light and the principles for which the light stands, we become the living light of God. Spirit glows this week. Spirit glows in the candlelight in temples and synagogues around the world, in homes around the world, in hearts, and my friends, in you, if you will. You see, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. But without your light, the earth is without form, void of the warmth that only you can bring, void of your joy, your beauty, your love, your wonder. But the spirit of creation moves across your beautiful face tonight. The spirit of creation moves through you, and the voice of God speaks in you, through you, saying, "Let there be light." For you were born to be the light of the world. You were born to be the place where God glows. Don't let the light go out. Kindle the flame of faith within you that 2,000 years from now they may say, on a day in November in the second decade of the third millennium, Spirit shone a great light. And that light shone through those who listened and chose to open their hearts and minds and let their light shine. And the darkness was dissipated, and the lights touched one another and radiate out into the world. And a great miracle happened here. A great miracle happened here. And we let that be so. And so it is. Hi, guys. I love this time of year. It starts with Thanksgiving and moves into Hanukkah and finally into Christmas and New Year's. There's so much. I love Hanukkah. I love the story. I love the traditions. I love the light. I would be remiss and sad if I didn't acknowledge it as well. And Heidi, I believe you're right. We have to honor all paths to spirit. I believe that a spirit that throughout the world has created different peoples and different colors. How fun is that? And different ways of being would also show up differently for each of those people so that it could reach them through their own traditions and their own languaging and their own beliefs about what spirit is all about. So it's not wrong that there isn't one world religion. I think there is one world spirit. But it speaks to each of us in languages we can understand. Why would it not? Yeah, the food's pretty good too. And the traditions are wonderful. Hello, hi Jennifer. Hello, my friends. Hi, Kirk. What a beautiful day this is. I hope it's as beautiful where you are as it is where we are. It's just spectacular. It's a celebrate spirit kind of day. At least that's my thing. So how is everybody? Talk to me. How are you going to let your light shine in the world today? How are you going to light up the world? What can you do, either again or anew, to make your world, the world, a better place today? What can you do? Yay, weather is stunning where Heidi is. That's nice to hear. When you get a chance, Heidi, let me know when you're leaving for Atlanta. I need to know these things. Kirk's been on jury duty. Has it been interesting? Have you had to remind yourself of what you believe? How's it gone? That can be a very trying thing. Until December 3rd. Wow. I've missed you too. Both of you. Very much. And I'm glad that life is good and you have been included in prayer, because I'm just nosy that way. And of course, spending time with the kids and the grandkids is, that's just the best. So good for you. Good for you. Okay, so Heidi's here in California until probably the first of the year. All right, you have to keep us updated. Kirk, you are just the best grandpa. I wish I'd had you as when I was a baby. I didn't have grandparents. I know that sounds odd. I mean, biologically, of course I did. Um, Long story short, relations were cut off and people died and that kind of thing. So I don't remember having grandparents. I remember my grandmother once when I decided, I guess I was going to be well, I don't know what I thought I was going to be. Maybe a funeral director. Anyway, I buried my dolls in her backyard. I remember that. And that's my one and only memory of her. And my grandfather, my biological grandfather on my mother's side, died when I was very, very young. And on my father's side, my father died when I was very young, so my mother cut off all relations with that side of the family for the most part. So I remember seeing them like once or twice. I have a picture of them that I keep on my computer. But it wasn't like I had cool grandparents like you guys. Anyway, I get very excited when you tell me you're with the kids and that you're loving it. And I just think that I live vicariously through you that way. And of course, I love my grandkids. We're not going to talk about how old they are. We could, but I'm not going to. Okay, I'm trying to keep track of all of you and what you're doing here. Okay. Is Hazel a good biscuit maker? I bet she is. I bet you are too. So Heidi will make a trip before Christmas to Atlanta and then come back to us and then leave again. Oh, thank God for the internet. We can still stay in touch. We will stay in touch, won't we? Yes, we will. Thanks, Kirk, for the comments on jury duty. I would imagine that's what it would be like. Yeah. And sometimes they don't even just forget. Sometimes they don't know, Kirk. Sometimes they don't know God is within them. Nobody ever told them that. They didn't have fabulous grandparents like you. Oh, dear. Heidi saw the new Ghostbusters. I didn't know there was a new Ghostbusters out. How do I miss these things? You guys are fabulous. Thank you, Heidi. Staying in touch is not an option. I'm glad you understand that. Or I'd have to hunt you down. So, back to my question. Because while all this is fun, I really am serious about my question. What are you going to do today to make the world, your world, a better place? It can be individual. You can just take 20 minutes and sit down and meditate, or you can go for a walk, or it can be communal. You can do something in and for the community, or you can be global. There are no restrictions on this. I'm just curious. What are you going to do? You got the rest of the day. It's 12:35. There's much 36. Time on a computer drives me crazy. You got the whole afternoon and evening. And it's Hanukkah. If you were to light a candle, and I suggest that you do, if you were to light a candle tonight, and the first candle is both for the Maccabees and what they endured, and as a reminder of the presence of God. What if you had just one candle? You lit one candle and you lit it for just a few minutes maybe every night. Or if you had one of those great big candles, you could, let it glow until you go to bed. What if you lit one candle and let every night for 8 nights remind you of the presence of God right there where you are? How might that change your life? How might that change the world? I don't think the Maccabees were Irish, CAC, but you do keep trying. Good. Okay, now I'm getting some answers here. Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters. That's got to be a little odd. Good. Tell the story. It's important. It's important that the stories be told. Uncluttering is wonderful. Not only does it help your life, but trust me, it helps the world. What a great thing to do on the first day of Hanukkah. I like the idea of lighting the candle. And just let it stand for the presence of God. Let it remind you. Just be with it for a few moments. Or the whole evening, whatever is right for you. Fabulous. Dropping things off at the local thrift shop. We do a lot of that. We keep a box by the front door we just keep dumping that stuff into. And usually the box overflows and then we need a second box. And a local buy nothing group. I like that. I like that. Is it kind of sharing? Heidi, you belong to one too. I need to know more about this.
How about buy no more makeup? What would happen then? If that club existed, no.
I wouldn't join it.
Bad? Okay.
I would not join that club. I would not. I could not, in all honesty, join it knowing that, the first lipstick that I saw that I liked would throw me out of the club. Why bother? You guys are great. I'm sorry. I should be talking. I'm busy reading. 63-page book by Susan Branch, The Home of Christmas. Christmas in San Fernando Valley. Oh, I like that. So it's local. I'll have to look that one up. Okay, so Stranger Things meets Ghostbusters. Maybe I don't want to see that. All right. But how great. We're very into sharing and relocating and repurposing things. So I probably need to know more about Buy Nothing, although I probably could just be an associate member. I'd be a good associate member. Search geographically search Buy Nothing. I will do that. We will check out Buy Nothing. Got it, Kirk. That will make your world a better place for sure, and probably their. Oh, hi, Laura, darling. And yes, you can always watch the replay. Blessings. It's just nice to know you're here. We love you. So while we're talking about sharing and repurposing and all of that, I want to just take a moment to thank all of you who support this ministry. Some of you, thank you, do it on a regular basis. You've just set up a thing and, once a month it pops in. Some of you give by hitting the little donation button down there, and some of you send checks. Some of you are invisible donors. It's interesting because I get a check once a month from the Facebook people, and sometimes I have no clue where that comes from. But I know that there are some of you out there that don't chat. You come in, you listen, and many of you donate, and I just want to say thank you. Counting my many blessings, I count you among them, all of you, who support with your presence, who support with your donations. I know it seems like there are no expenses involved in this, but you're smart, you know. And I just want to say thank you. It is very much appreciated. And I'm grateful. So, for those of you who are visible, thank you, thank you, thank you. Who show up and talk to me so that I don't have to talk to myself for an hour. I'm grateful. I'm grateful, and I love knowing what's going on in your lives, and I love praying for you, and I love being able to support you in any way that I possibly can. But I want you to know that I'm also very grateful for your support. So, thank you, visible and invisible ones. Thank you. Enough said. Heidi's cleaning the bird cages today. I love that. The birdies will be grateful. That will make their world better. That, and you're reading the book, and you're donating, and my God, look at all of you doing great things to make the world a better place. Keep working on that, would you? Park in the back of your mind that you can, anything that you do that makes your world better makes the world better, because there's no separation between your world and the world. Anything that you can do is going to make the world a better place. And I highly recommend lighting a candle tonight and just taking a breath for a moment and recognizing the presence of Spirit in your life and the miracles that can be wrought when you are aware of that presence. When you call it in, and by lighting the candle, you call into your awareness the presence of God. And just take a moment to acknowledge that. And then do what you were called to do. Either stay in that place or blow the candle out with the awareness that the presence remains even if the light is not lit. And I would highly recommend that you do that every night for the next 8 nights. It's for the good of your own soul, for the good of your heart, for the good of your life, and the good of the world. Enough said? Enough said. Okay. And again, thank you. I am grateful for every one of you. Now, can we talk prayer support? I have this amazingly empty page right now that is looking for things to pray about. This day on my planner has a quote by Doug Hammarskjöld that I would like to... I just saw it, and it's quite lovely. He says, the more faithfully you listen to the voices within you, the better you will hear what is sounding outside. Isn't that lovely? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Heidi. Inspiration. Okay. Oh, love you too, Jennifer. So happy that you're in my life. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk to God. Perry Avenue, I love that. I think there needs to be a Heidi Street. I'm just going to put that in my book. Anyone else? Anything else? Kirk, yes. Thank you. What a lovely prayer request. Heidi, of course you will. I can't wait. All right, I'm going to pray. If you think of anything more, just put it in while I'm praying. Oh, Heidi Expressway. I like that, CAC. Zoom, zoom. Okay. Take a breath. Okay. I got it, Jen. Yeah. I got it. Focus your attention either within or outward at something beautiful. Everybody has said it is a beautiful day where you are. You might want to just look out at the sky, the vastness of it, the endlessness of it, the beauty of it. As far as you can see, as far as anyone can see, there is only spirit. They say now that when you travel into space, and so many seem to have done that lately, that when you break through our atmosphere, you break into the even greater vastness of space beyond that which we can see. And beyond that, who knows? It seems the more we learn, the more there is. It's as though what the universe is a continually growing thing, as are we. And yet all of it, every inch of it, is God, is the presence of spirit. There is no place where God is not. Whether we look at the tiniest thing through the microscope or whether we look at the vastness of space, all that there is spirit. And it makes the story of the beginning seem even more real. In the beginning, God created. The heavens and the earth and all of the other planets and that which is beyond even that which we think we can see now, whether we look through the microscope or the telescope. All that we can see is God. And that which is within us is that same power, that same love, that same creation. And so as on the first day the very first day, when the dark and the lightness were separated. And God called the lightness day and the darkness night. As on that very first day, as God said, let there be light, we too, speaking as individualizations of spirit, say, let there be light. And there was light, and light is good. And in the light, I see this. I see guidance for Heidi's design team. I see their confidence growing and their light glowing, and a coming together as they come to recognize the light within one another. And they are inspired by that light and by their individual light to combine their lights and create something even greater. In that eternal light, I see Laura's brother and her cousin healing, being drawn to the light within themselves, and that light awakening and knowing what it is, and healing, doing its perfect work, making each of them once again whole, once again healed and complete, physically alive, shining their light. In that eternal light, I see Jen's friend, daughter, who is currently on a ventilator in the hospital, healing, getting stronger, responding to the light within her that now wants to reach out and shine. And in that, I see Jennifer and the love with her in her being so strong that anything that feels like anger just dissipates and returns to the nothingness from which it came. It was incited by light and love prevails. In that eternal light, I see Heidi clear about what needs to be done to relocate, to be where her work and her heart for now may be. I see all the details falling into place so perfectly that it is nearly amusing, certainly amazing. And in that same light, I see Kirk's friend, Jim, moving into surgery under the lights in the hands of God. Though it may not seem obvious, I know that everyone that attends to him is God in uniform. God as a doctor, God as a nurse, God as an anesthesiologist, God just everywhere, being everything. And I see Jim successfully moving through the surgery and healing astonishingly quickly so that he can get on with his life and his love and his friendship with Kirk, so that they can be with one another again and celebrate the presence of spirit within each one of them. And I see each of us blessed by the light of the season, the truth that the light reveals. And I know that every word that I have spoken is so. Because each of us is an individualization of the presence of God, and each of us, having asked, creates a new reality, a greater reality. And I am so grateful for that, so very, very grateful for the presence of God in and through each of us. And I know that because where two or more are gathered, there in the midst of it all is the presence of God, that a great miracle happened here. And we let that be so. And so it is. We have a closing song. It is the song by Peter, Paul, and Mary that celebrates the Hannukkah lights and the place from which I get my inspiration about what each of the candles means. So I'd love you to listen to it. Please do. And happy Hanukkah, my friends. Happy beginning of the season of light. Celebrate the light within you. Light a candle tonight. And remember, I love you all. I'll see you on Wednesday, December 1st. Oh my. Here we go. I love you. Go with God. Because you can't go any other way. Anyway.